what we're effectively producing in our society is really a generation of fat, brain-dead individuals who can't really think for themselves. That's essentially what we've got. And where do excitotoxins fit into all this? Okay, basically MSG, also aspartame, but I'm going to be talking mostly about MSG just because for simplification purposes. But it's a food additive that's been used since the 1950s to enhance the flavor of your food by stimulating chemoreceptors. So it doesn't actually have flavor itself; it just stimulates your taste buds. A couple interesting facts about this is that glutamate, which is basically what MSG is routinely used in scientific studies to induce obesity, to exterminate test animals, laboratory animals, to kill brain cells in laboratory animals. Okay? Obesity, killing brain cells, and killing the animals. This is what they use because it produces 100% results every time. This is what they use. The amount that has been added to our food supply since the 1940s has doubled every single decade. So they're adding this stuff to our food supply in increasing amounts. Okay, next. Okay, so what we do know about MSG is that it kills brain cells in animals. I'm not going to give you the specific research studies. You can ask me about them later if you want to see them. But this is what we know. This is the actual evidence. This isn't like speculative. It causes macular degeneration, learning disabilities, endocrine disorders. So what I just talked about, gross obesity, reproductive disorders, stunted growth, hyperglycemia, behavioral problems, including but not limited to hyperactivity, memory, concentration problems. We know that very young children are even more susceptible to this stuff because their brains aren't fully developed yet. And we also know through various studies that the toxic effects are cumulative. So that means that when the glutamate industry sponsors a study to see how toxic glutamate is, and it says, okay, we gave this amount to this test animal within this period of time and didn't see effects, that it must be safe, it doesn't go into it at all into the implications of long-term use of this stuff. What happens when you consume it at every meal? You know, does it accumulate in your bloodstream? Does it stay? Is it causing damage over time? And the studies that they've done that deal with that say yes, it has. Okay, so in light of all these studies that have been done, these independent studies that have shown just how dangerous this stuff is, to counter that research, the glutamate industry has just the corruption in the research that they have funded it just runs rampant through this. They do completely unscientific studies. I could go into just they use different drugs that inhibit the effects of glutamate. They don't study the results properly. They don't document the results properly. So they initially said that based on this fraudulent research that MSG doesn't cause brain lesions, it doesn't damage you. But now the research is so strong that says that it does. What they say now is that, the animal studies are irrelevant to humans, so we can't really use those studies because they don't really apply to humans, which in a way is true because humans are considered to be at least 4 times more sensitive to glutamate toxicity mechanism in animals. So if it doesn't apply, it's because it's worse for us than it is for the animals. Okay, so what you'll probably hear from people who support glutamate, which includes, teachers at this school, they will claim that the amount that's in food isn't high enough to cause any damage. But an interesting note is that Merck says the median lethal dose, which basically means the amount that is required to kill 50% of the test subjects, is 19.9 grams per kilogram of body weight when ingested, which it equals out to about 6 to 8 ounces or less, because this is based on animal studies, and we know that humans are more susceptible to it, right? In 1960, we were consuming 12 grams per year per person. In 2000, we were consuming over 500 grams per year per person. That was 10 years ago. So think about what it might be today. Probably a lot more. This includes kids. So kids are a lot more sensitive even than adults, who are a lot more sensitive than test animals that this stuff is killing. So makes a lot of sense that we're having, all these problems that this stuff has been correlated with. Okay, next. Okay, so these are just some other conditions that research has linked MSG to. So all these problems, I'm going to read them through, you can read them. But a lot of this stuff you're talking about, like just depression, nausea, dizziness, rage, anxiety, paranoia, neurological disorders, all these things that we're seeing running rampant in our country now and in the world now has been linked to this stuff that is in our food supply everywhere.